Well, the coaching carousel for Tomlin continues. Dick LeBeau is out as defensive coordinator, but Haley, the worst offensive coach in the history of any football team at any level and anywhere, any country in the universe, got an extension.
That's pushing it.
Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another session of our offseason outlook. I'm your host, Jim Cella, in studio with co-host / producer about to punch me in the head, JDash.
What up?
We're going to talk about some coaches. Tomlin, Haley, LeBeau's no longer here. What's up with that? Where'd he go?
Who knows?
Scooby-Doo and Shaggy could find him.
Well, he's not missing.
No, I thought he was like one of those old dudes that was wearing a costume, you know what I mean? And they had to run around like from room to room, door to door, and then they eventually were right behind each other.
Yes, I know what Scooby-Doo is.
It was a good show. I like Scooby-Doo.
I just can't believe that they kept Haley and let LeBeau leave.
I think LeBeau was forced out. Other people say he wasn't. I know you don't really follow me on this one. I think the Steelers organization told him you're either going to be fired and embarrassed or you can just resign and take it like a man. I think those were his options. And LeBeau is a true man, and the Steelers are bleeping morons.
But for what reason, though? Why would they do this? It makes no sense to me. He's been one of the best defensive coordinators in football for a long time. Yeah, I said many a times his scheme's outdated, but I just can't believe they would keep Haley and let him go. Now, if they let both of them go, I could see.
In 2013, we ranked 13th. In 2014, we ranked 18th in total defense. First time we've dropped out of the top 10. Especially back-to-back years. I think the organization just wanted to move in a different direction. I think Tomlin was putting pressure on the higher management to move to his style of defense. He wants us to be his team. You know, he's instilled here as the coach, not like when he was a rookie and he was forced into Dick LeBeau. I don't think he ever wanted to have the 3-4 defense. Not that he wanted LeBeau to leave either, because our defense was still really good at that time. I just think he was waiting for the opportunity to be able to install his total control over the football team with his defensive philosophy, and I look to see him possibly move to a 4-3 this year. But that's a big transition, and if they do, their defense is probably going to struggle more than it did this year.
So that's why Tomlin's drafting all these garbage players.
Yeah.
So the defense can play like garbage so you can get rid of LeBeau.
Exactly. It's a conspiracy.
Makes sense.
Tomlin, I think, is part of the Illuminati, and I know how much you love them.
Yeah.
Well, Todd Haley, we'll talk about him for a minute. The Steelers' offense put up stats. They put the numbers up. They didn't put up points consistently all year long. And that's the problem with Haley's offense. It's very, very inconsistent. When we went on the road, we could barely score any points, let alone 30 points, which is what we needed almost every week to win. The defense picked it up at the end of the year, so we didn't need to keep putting up 30. They were holding teams to around 22, 23, or maybe even less.
Did they put up 30, though? 6 times. 6 times this season they put up more than 30 points. We said they needed to average around 29 points per game.
Yeah, 6 out of 16 isn't going to get it done.
30 points will win for you, though. They went 5-1 in those games. The one game they did lose, I don't even count it as them scoring 30 points because they had 16 with about 2 minutes left in the game in that New Orleans game. They got blown out in.
Yeah, those were just inflated stats at the end because New Orleans didn't even care. They were already drinking and throwing beads at the crowd over on the other sideline.
Please believe.
The offense needed to be better than it was this year, and they can say it's trending upward like Mike Mitchell. I don't really give a crap what Coach Tomlin says. I'm starting to lose a little faith in that guy. Haley, what is the horizontal passing game? Where did the vertical passing game go? It came in spurts throughout the year. When the offense played well, Ben was allowed to throw the ball downfield. Bryant was going downfield. Brown was a little bit further downfield. Then they go back to that stupid screen game where they throw 10 screen passes and run the ball 15 times in a row. What does that accomplish? And look at what our offense did whenever we had no running back. Nothing.
We said it in our last segment, I believe it was, or last week in one of the segments, that Todd Haley without Le'Veon Bell hasn't done anything.
He knows nothing. All he knows how to do is try to find the best running back he possibly can and give him the ball a bunch of times and hope it works out.
And
That's
let's talk
his
about
offensive
this
strategy.
running game. Yeah, we put up a lot of yards altogether, but the run actually ended 16th in the league. So it's not like we were even an elite team on the ground towards the end of the season.
No, because Bell was catching a lot of the passes and for a lot of those yards. He wasn't just running for 100
Right.
yards all these games. Once we got rid of LeGarrette Blount, not that he made a huge difference running the ball, but we didn't give anybody else the ball. So you had to spell Le'Veon Bell by cutting down on his carries because it's a little less physical when you go out for a pass.
And like I said before, too, the Steelers put up the most points within the division, but actually the offense didn't even score as many points as Baltimore's offense.
Yeah, the
And
defense
to me,
helped
that's
them out.
ridiculous. If your offense can't score more points than Baltimore's offense, then you're no better than mediocre to me.
Yeah, because Joe Flacco is no better than mediocre at anything, even life. You're garbage, Flacco.
He almost took New England down.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend. Too bad somebody didn't launch a hand grenade. I mean, nothing. What do you think another running back would do for the offense? Do you think we could be more successful if we can consistently move the ball just by handing it off? And can Le'Veon Bell handle the Todd Haley offense of just give him the ball until he completely collapses and possibly dies on the field?
That's not something I want to see at all. I
No.
want to keep Le'Veon Bell healthy as long as possible. And if you're giving him the ball 300, 400 times a season, that's not going to happen.
So he had 373 touches this year. Is he going to be the same back next year? I'm not worried about the hyperextended knee. That was just, stretched out knee. It'll definitely be healed by next year. But, running backs who get as many touches as he had this year generally don't do too well the next.
That's what's scary about it. That's why we needed a backup running back this past year that got more involved in the game, like Blunt did earlier in the year before we cut him. But yeah, we definitely need another running back, but I don't think it has anything to do with Haley. Whoever the Steelers offense coordinator is, we need another running back in this system.
Believe it. Just too bad it wasn't with Haley, because you're garbage. Well, getting back to LeBeau, like I said, I think he was fired. What makes you think he just voluntarily resigned? I don't see it. Dick LeBeau's lived and breathed Pittsburgh Steelers football since 2004. He invented the zone blitz that we've run since he was our coordinator in the 90s.
That's the thing. I could see if he retired, then you might say he was just done. He wanted to quit, but that he resigned and he didn't retire, that means he wants to coach for someone else.
Which means they forced him out, and he
I
didn't want to
understand.
voluntarily
I'm
go.
not arguing with you. I have no clue what happened.
No, I know what happened. The Steelers fired
So
him.
you're saying who made the final decision? Mike Tomlin? I don't believe that.
Not Tomlin. It was a group decision between Tomlin, Rooney, and Colbert. When really it should be Colbert's job on the line, not Dick LeBeau's. Colbert's been these garbage drafts. Maybe if he'd have given LeBeau a defensive back that could actually cover anybody like me or you,
That's what
the
I'm saying.
defense would have been better.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If you're forcing him out and never giving him a cornerback that's any good,
It's a scapegoat, man. They don't want to admit that they suck.
that's what I've been saying before. Maybe Tomlin's been drafting bums on purpose so he can kick Dick LeBeau out, and now they can go to this 4-3 defense.
I don't know if he was doing it on purpose, but he definitely drafted bums, and they're definitely going to the 4-3 defense.
I heard that James Harrison, they weren't really interested in him next season. And I thought that was a bad move at first, but when you think about it, if they're going to a 4-3, he's not really a 4-3 linebacker, so that makes complete sense why they wouldn't even want James Harrison back.
Yeah, he was terrible in Cincinnati when he had to try to play the 4-3. It's not his strength. He's a rush the passer kind of guy. And it's no knock on Harrison. Some guys are 3-4 guys, some guys are 4-3 guys. But at his age and the amount of time he'd actually be able to play, it's not worth bringing him back and paying him for that. If we do move to a 4-3, I would kind of like Shazier on one side, Timmons in the middle, and Jones on the other side.
That's scary.
I don't think it's as scary as you want to think. The outside rush, the outside linebackers don't rush like they do in the 3-4 system. It's a lot more of the D line. So these guys are going to be able to just kind of move around, cover some short zones, play against the run. You would funnel runs right at Timmons the same way Baltimore used to funnel runs right towards Ray Lewis. Not saying Ray wasn't a great tackler, but his his stats were a little inflated because the defense was designed to fake a hole, basically. You know what I mean? It opened a hole, but the hole led right to Ray Lewis. He hit the hole and tackled you either behind the line or right at it for no gain. And that's kind of the similar thing they do with Lawrence Timmons.
Well, how about this? Maybe LeBeau resigned because he seen the way they were drafting and he knew they were moving towards a 4-3.
And he wanted no part of it.
And he wanted no part of it.
I don't want no
Is
part of that.
that a possibility?
I don't know. Dewey Cox says yes.
Well, what about Mike Tomlin?
It's a long, hard walk. And he's got to walk hard. Tomlin, he's got nothing to worry about, although I think he may be losing this team. Your boy Double M, Mark Madden on 105.9 The X, he was talking the other day how coaches in sports today, they don't stay with teams as long as they used to. Players are more divas than they used to be back in the day. And the Steelers of the 70s time, Chuck Noll said this is the way it was, that's the way it was, and you either did it or you went and found a new team. There was no complaining to upper management or getting your way, or because you were a higher paid player than this other guy, you got more, stature in the locker room. You got nothing. You just did it his way or it was the highway. And now players, they start to tune that out. Something similar with the Penguins whenever Michael Therrien left and Dan Bylsma came in. Same exact team, same system. They were a little inspired by a new voice in the locker room. They won the Stanley Cup. Then they won a whole bunch of games. But then they got tired of Bylsma. So now they got Mike Johnson in there. Now they're playing better hockey, maybe not at this exact point in the season, but overall they've been playing better hockey than they did under Bylsma's system. So
what you're saying is move on from Tomlin?
I'm
Listen,
not saying this year.
I never wanted him to get rid of Tomlin yet. I was sick of people saying he's only won with Cowers players. So I was glad to see him having an 11-5 season. I wish he could have went further in the playoffs.
Oh, by the way, he only won with Cowers players.
Bull. If he is really moving into a 4-3 defense, I want to put him in the hot seat because Pittsburgh is known as a 3-4 defense. Pittsburgh has always been known as a 3-4 defense. So if you're going to change things up around here, you better win.
In the 70s, we played a 4-3 cover 2.
Yeah, they might have ran a 4-3 back then, but our entire lives they've been running 3-4 defenses.
Oh, yeah, definitely. In our lifetime, especially since 93 when Cowher took over, I'm not exactly sure what Noel ran at the end of his career. I didn't follow football when I was 2 years old. But I know ever since LeBeau came here and invented that zone blitz 3-4 defense, he ran it. Dom Capers ran it. Jim Haslett was an assistant here. He ran it. So many people have come out of Pittsburgh. Ray Horton, he's in Arizona now. He runs it. I mean, the list goes on and on.
You said something about someone earlier who they might be looking at, a defensive coordinator.
Keith Butler.
Keith Butler.
The Steelers linebacker coach. Butler's been with the Steelers for a while now. I've lost track how long it's been. He's been offered some interviews with other teams. The Steelers have always either blocked the interview or just asked him not to take it. There's been whispers of,
Well, what does he run? Does he run a 4-3? If he's working under LeBeau this long, wouldn't you think he's known to 3-4?
Well, I was getting there.
Okay, well, go ahead. I'm here too. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Well, the whispers were always saying that, Butler, you stick around, you're going to get this job here as soon as LeBeau leaves. Yes, he studied under LeBeau. Yes, I do think that he's a 3-4 style defensive coordinator. But don't you think that as a young up-and-comer or somebody who's getting his first shot...
Will run anything?
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I don't know if I trust that. A guy who's been brought up in the 3-4... You want him as your defensive coordinator, but hey, by the way, run a 4-3. Yeah, that's tough.
The reason I don't think Butler's going to get the job is if you look at it this way, the Steelers want to win now, right? We never are in a rebuilding year, according to the Steelers. So you fire, get rid of, resign, retire, whatever LeBeau did, he leaves. Literally one of the best defensive coordinators of all time. Not just like the last couple years.
And
one of the best of all time. You're going to replace him with some jabroni who has no idea what he's doing and never even done it? No. If you're going to switch from a 3-4 to a 4-3, you need to go out and get somebody who knows what the bleep they're doing with a 4-3 and who has run it to perfection and who has been part of a staff that has won a Super Bowl. Because I'm not about to go from greatest of all time to complete garbage jabroni. And I don't know Butler, but sorry, that's just how I feel.
You know what else I don't like? All these rookies the past few years, Shamarko Thomas, Jarvis Jones, Ryan Shazier,
No
they
development.
haven't done much. And not that it is or isn't LeBeau's fault, but all we kept saying is it takes a while in LeBeau's system to get acclimated to the defense. And, well, he's gone now. So what about the guy who comes in next? Are they going to be able to be beast mode from the very beginning? Because if not, we're talking about 3 years with these players that aren't doing anything.
The good news is if they go to like a 4-3 base cover 2, it's a very easy defense for players to pick up. Linebackers drop back into a shallow zone in the middle of the field. D-backs drop a little bit deeper. Safeties drop a little bit deeper. I mean, it's really just a read and react type defense. So players can be successful early on in that style of defense compared to Dick LeBeau's complicated blitz scheme. You have to be gap strong. D linemen, they see an opportunity to rush up the middle and attack the quarterback, so sometimes they take it. Then they leave their gap. Then there's a giant hole. The quarterback doesn't even have the ball. The running back cuts up in the hole and gashes us for 200 yards. We've seen Fred Taylor do it how many times in those few years when our defense struggled in the 90s and early 2000s. So, I mean, it's a little different. Yes, they can be successful earlier in a base-style defense, but I agree that you're possibly losing another year with these guys.
Can a coordinator come in here and get the job done from the very beginning, too? It might take him a while. It could take him a year to get acclimated to the players we have.
That's what I don't like. Now, another side of it is, do they let Butler have the job, tell him you have to run a 4-3, and then basically just let Tomlin run the defense? Because he was a defensive coordinator. And you've seen defensive, head coaches run the defense before, or offensive coaches run the offense. So can he pull like a Rex Ryan where he pretty much has a coordinator, but he runs the defense, the coordinator kind of makes the calls that he tells him to, and then lets Haley run the offensive side of the ball?
I guess it could happen. He was a better, I don't know, I don't want to say he's a better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach, but I don't know. I'd rather bring in a head coach if he was going to do that.
No, they're not going to bring in a head coach to take over Tomlin.
And then make him the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
Why
that's
not?
not going to happen. You got a better chance of me becoming the defensive coordinator, I think.
You're dead wrong.
Art Rooney, if you're listening, follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up. I'll come in for an interview. I'm a great interview.
I'm telling you right now, if Mike Tomlin and Todd Haley are the only two coaches on that sidelines.
Well, they'll hire another coach, but he just won't have any power.
Nah. Well, there's no sense in paying someone that money then.
Well, because you got to save face so it doesn't look like Tomlin's an egomaniac like he really is.
But he's having LeBeau fired.
Teams do it all the time, man. They hire these guys. They're just there. They're just there
I
to
think Rex Ryan does that.
run some of the meetings and do that stuff when the head coach has to do something else. But it's the head coach's system. It's the head coach's plays, and the defensive coordinator just carries it out.
See, I think Mike Tomlin has no say in anything. I don't know. I see it differently. I think Mike Tomlin's just a face.
No, I disagree. The Steelers let their coach run the organization and their GM.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear from you anyways, but I don't
Well, I know
believe
what
it
I'm
with
talking
Tomlin.
about.
I don't know. I just don't believe it with Tomlin.
Well, they did it with Noel and they did it with Cowher, so there's no reason not to. Maybe not as early on as when he first got here in his rookie year, but now his 8th year or 9th year, whatever it is, he definitely has control on what's going on.
We'll see. He's going to have a defensive coordinator he wants, apparently. We'll see what happens with that.
Believe it. LeBeau's out. Apparently, maybe Butler's in. We're not saying that for sure. It's just the word on the street. Dick LeBeau's defense, it did us well. I have to say thank you to Dick LeBeau for all the great times we've had with him, the great seasons we've had with him. How many times our offense was just garbage and our defense kept us in games and kept us in seasons and helped us win divisions and Super Bowls. That great play by James Harrison in the Super Bowl versus the Cardinals, those plays were all masterminded by Dick LeBeau.
Well, I mean, the numbers say it right here. Between 2004 and 2014, which is 11 seasons, he had 5 defenses that ranked number 1 in yardage against.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's beast mode.
He's
LeBeau,
so good.
Yeah. He's already in the Hall of Fame for a player, right?
Yeah. He's been in the NFL literally since he was like 20-something years old.
Yeah.
He played and then coached immediately after.
I just can't get over that you'd think now is the time to get rid of LeBeau, which is fine. But if you're going to start over there, you start over with the offensive coordinator, too. I cannot believe you brought Haley back and got rid of LeBeau. Doesn't make sense.
It's bullcrap. Haley has no idea what he's doing. LeBeau is the man. It's just really, that's why I feel like it was just garbage. You know, in 2008, our defense only let up an average of 13.9 points per game. That's ridiculous.
That's like Seahawks this season.
Jesus.
What year was that?
2008.
Yeah, that was the Super Bowl year. That's what I'm saying, man. Our defenses those years were awesome.
2010, it was 14.5.
That was another Super Bowl year?
Yeah.
In
Well, we didn't win it, but we went.
What about 2005? I think that was the other
2005, it was 16.1. The Bears that year only gave up 12.6 points per game.
Ridiculous, like the 85
Crazy,
Bears.
dude. But then you go to 2013.
Yeah, it definitely dropped off. But like you said, the players just aren't there for them, too.
23.1. 2014, 23. But yeah, the players aren't there. You can't win when you don't have the right guys.
What year was Ike Taylor drafted?
What year was Ike Taylor drafted?
Yeah, around when?
Let's see.
Ben was 2004.
He was here before Ben, right?
But yeah, Ike Taylor, he was one of the top cornerbacks in football to me for a long period of time. So you don't draft LeBeau cornerback, and look what happens. His defense falls off. You gotta give him the team to play too.
Ike Taylor's been BTLing for a lot of years in the Steelers' defense. He's drafted an 03,
Yeah,
fourth round pick.
sounds about right. That's probably the same year as Palomalu then, I believe.
Palomalu was drafted in 2003, first round.
Yeah, so there you go. Him and Ike Taylor both in the same draft, and then they brought LeBeau in the next season, and those three right there put together a solid run for the Pittsburgh Steelers, huh?
You better believe it, man. Kudos to all three of those guys, and it's sad to see all three of them go, but
There's not really a linebacker that's stuck around. They never give them their last contract. They always get rid of them one contract earlier than most
I think
players.
maybe Ferrier was the one we let hang around a little bit too long.
Yeah.
But Ferrier played great for us for a long time. That dude, I mean, he laid some people out in the middle of the field. Great free agent pickup by the Steelers. Probably the best free agent signing Pittsburgh's had in 10 years.
So, are you happy with Mike Tomlin, a head coach?
As of right now, I can't say no, but I can't say yes either.
I want to see what he does if he does really turn this defense into a 4-3.
If he's really going to take control of this team, move us to a 4-3, really put his stamp on this organization, then let's see what you can do. And I want some damn draft picks. Let's get some dudes like an Ike Taylor, like a Brett Kiesel, like an Aaron Smith in these later rounds who turn out to be borderline Hall of Famers. You know, I'm not saying all those dudes should be in the Hall of Fame, but there's at least conversation about these guys.
All right, so Tomlin and Colbert got to get together
They got to
and
step it up.
their game up.
Dude, they got to step up 100%.
I agree.
This is a
I've
big
been
year for
complaining
them.
about their drafts forever. They do come up with a big-time player once in a blue moon. They got Brown, they got Bell. They do a good job at finding beast players, but not the rest of it.
Yeah,
There's only one or two players per year.
Right. No depth to their drafts. And if they don't have a good draft this year and they don't have good results either with the regular season or the playoffs next year, I think Colbert will be the next one to go. And then if they continue to struggle another 2-3 years down the road after that, Mike Tomlin's job's got to be on the line. But there's no way he's safe for at least 3 more years. We'd have to have just absolutely terrible years for Tomlin to go anywhere in the next 3 years.
We don't like Todd Haley at offensive coordinator, so we got to put up with that for what, 3 more years, 2 more years?
I think so, yeah, 2 or 3. It's garbage. Whatever it is, it's too long. The good news is Tomlin's fired 14 assistants. Well, not fired, but has gone through 14 different assistant coaches at some point at different positions since, like, I don't know, his 5th year in the league or something, or 4th year in the league. So for the first couple years, he kept everybody intact. As soon as he got a little bit more control over the team, like I was saying, he just started running wild, brother.
And we're looking at a new defensive coordinator. So really, I don't hate Tomlin, but he's all right. I'm fine with him right now. I like guys to stick around for a long time. We hate Haley and a new defensive coordinator coming in. I don't like it.
Nope, I don't like it either. As soon as the Steelers decide who they're going to bring in for coordinator, folks, we'll come up with another segment for the Steelers, talk about who they hired, how we think they're going to fit in the Steelers defense, Steelers organization.
What if Tomlin works for the Ravens and he's just bringing in all these bums and then he's going to go work for them?
Maybe. You never know. He's going to take Harbaugh's job. They're going to swap him out. Harbaugh's going to become our special teams coach.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I hate him. I hate both Harbaughs.
Harbaugh said that the Patriots cheated running illegal plays.
Well,
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, the Patriots always cheat, but so do the Ravens. They got murders and and on their teams, so they've been cheating at life. Well, that wraps up our coaching outlook for the offseason. I want to thank you fans for listening to The Spread. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can like us on Facebook. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Send us those comments. You don't like what I say? Let me know. Peace.